All right, hello and welcome. We're going to go ahead and create a responsive design in Figma. We're going to be using some new features through the variable system to help accomplish that. And I hope you find this fun and entertaining. We're going to be doing some things that are experimental that I haven't tried before, so we may run into some issues, some glitches, but that's all going to be part of fun, I think. One thing I am going to do is turn on design system. Okay, that's added. Great. Take that out. Alright, so as we go here, let's go ahead and look for logo placeholder. Okay. And then grab a couple of company logos as well. Okay, first thing you're going to do is you're going to resize this so that it's a more decent proportion. We're going to make this smaller. Lock these in. And then we're going to start building out auto layout. So we'll do Shift A, and then we'll go horizontal, and we'll say auto, and we're going to go ahead and set up a quick layout grid here. So we'll add columns, we'll do 12, margin 120, and cover 20. we can size this and snap it right to the grid. First of all, we're going to start putting our titles. We'll drag out a shape and we'll call this and then we go to my type styles. I'm going to pick something that's rather large. I'm going to say like 72. And then I'm going to go into the more under typography and I'm going to set it to auto width. And then I'm just going to hit the center button so it centers it. I'll space down 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do 80 pixels. Okay. Drag these down below. And then we're going to hit K and proportionally resize this. Snap to our grid. We can zoom in just to make sure it looks just right. There we are. Okay, and then let's round the corners a bit. I'm going to do like 32 pixels. Great. I might change this a little bit. I just want a little more dynamicism. So I'm going to hit V, get out of K, resize. And let's try just texting this large channel looks pretty nice. Okay. Here. Center. Pixels from there. And video, we start at the top, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. I think 6 feels right. Good, and then next we're going to add some buttons. Drag in a primary and a secondary button. We can auto layout those. We'll put these, say, 16 pixels apart. And then on the inside, we can just make these each fill container. Remove the starting icon. Switch the order. Say learn more. Just gonna do sentence case, and then I'll say sign up. Great. We're going to build some buckets next. I'll continue to push these guys down the road. And then we'll add media. Let's do photo. paste that in correctly. And then for the buckets, we're gonna do just 3 buckets. Keep things manageable. So 2 times 4 is 12. It's 12 columns. So on this, we're gonna have it take up 4 columns. That's locked in. We're gonna round the corners on this one, but not as much because it's smaller. So I'll say 24, and then we're going to bring this in a bit. Say like 260. Ooh, I don't want that. 260. Maybe a little more. 280. That feels about right. Cool. Alright, so that's our first bucket, and then we need some text elements. So let's just grab these for fun. Pull them down. We're going to put that into auto layout. We're going to align left, and then we're going to start shrinking down the type styles. So on this one, I'm going to go with small bold, and this display, small, looks better up there, okay. That works pretty well. Okay, and then next thing we're going to do is we're going to put an auto layout around all of these, line left. Snap that to the grid. Okay, then we're gonna constrain it to our grid. Now you see this is escaping, so what we need to do is instead of hug is gonna stretch all the way to the contents. We're gonna say fill, and then we're gonna do that with our inside objects as well, fill, and then we'll see that we've got some weird funky stuff going on there because we had align center still activated. So now I think we're looking a little better. We can come and decide what we want these to be. Say 24, I think looks about right. And then here the gap could be like 32. Okay. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty balanced. And then we're gonna hold shift and option. We're gonna drag out another instance, lock it in. Some of these can be dynamic, so let's just make sure, yeah, that's looking good. This we also want to be fill container on the width. Now that we have a constraint, so we have to have like one that's fixed on the outside, and then everything inside can be fill. And what does that do for us? That gives us this nice kind of stretchy ability here to have a dynamic column. All right, let's do one more. That's locked in. This is locked in. Okay. So now we know there's exactly 20 pixels between each one of these, and that makes a ton of sense. Let's do 80 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm holding shift and just hitting the down key to be precise. Yeah, this feels proportionally, I think, pretty good. We choked this in a little bit just because this can get really tall in this aspect ratio, and we also probably, because it takes up so much room, both from a height to width ratio, we're constraining it a bit just so it's not too overwhelming for the page. These are smaller items, so they can get away with being full bleed. But we're still lining everything up to the grid perfectly, so that's super helpful there. We can of course give this a background color if we decide to. So we could set it to something like 50, and if we turn off our grid, we'll see that looks pretty good. Okay. You can also choose to just put a stroke on, say, one of the borders now. So we're gonna hit just bottom, and we can make that 0.5 if we want. All right. Check it one more time. Zoom in. Yeah, so it's a very, very light dividing line. We might bring that up a little more. Yeah, that looks pretty dialed. Okay, so we'll turn our grid back on. Our buckets, we want to make these unique, so let's just change these to some other items. Cool. Yeah. Maybe we'll change this one as well. Yeah, looks nice. All right, so we have our 3 buckets. Next, we're gonna do our kind of customer featurette. So we're gonna pull in this again. Cool. We'll keep this the same. We will reduce this down a bit. keep it bold, but we're going to make it smaller. And then everything else can kind of stay the same. This in, set this to 32. Yeah. And then we'll just center this in our total layout. Next, we'll auto layout these folks, and instead of wrap, let's keep it wrap actually. And then we're going to go full screen block, and then we're going to do 120. That'll constrain it in. This, we're going to set the gap. Instead of a fixed number, we're going to say automatically kind of divvy it out. And then we're going to go kind of make these items larger. So we're going to go into our layers palette, select all of our icons, and then we're going to hit K, and we're going to do 2x. Okay, we're going to hit K again, and do 2x. And that's feeling about right. And then we're going to make these a little softer on tertiary, and we'll check the contrast. Yeah, it's pretty light. We could maybe go like one darker secondary. Yeah, we probably want somewhere between those two. So in that case, you know, we would probably create a custom variable for this color. Just put it like right about there, feels right. Okay, and these are icons too, so you can get away with a little bit less contrast than if this was, say, a text value. You would want to make sure these are, you know, passing WCAG 2.1 at least. All right. Another thing we can do is we can change the color of these font styles. So they're all set to black, and we want to update that. So we're going to set this to base on secondary. Cool. And then our main titles, we're going to set that to primary. Base on primary. Great. These. Yeah, this is looking like a website right now. So that's good. Just these a bit more. And then next, we want to set up our footer. So let's make this a little bit taller. Okay. And for the footer, we're going to start with a title. So category, and then we'll say, just gonna make these really straightforward. Also auto layout that. We'll start with 120 on the left and right margins. We're going to constrain that, and then we're going to set all of these to fill. Great. And we're going to adjust the gutters to 20. So it's going to shrink that down to match our grid. So now we'll see this is actually perfectly aligning with our grid, just because we set this to 120, which is the same as this border. And then we have 4, so it's naturally going to take three columns each. And then we have the same gutter between them, which is 20. And then they're taking up, you know, they're expanding to fill the gap as much as they can. Now let's look inside some of these items. Yeah, they're already set to fill, so that's fantastic. That's exactly what we want. And then, you know, you might add certain like different styles. You might add, say, a link style. So you might set these to like link medium. You could do something like that. And that might be a more common way of doing things as well. We already have the right colors on here, so that's great. And then we're going to give ourselves some padding on top. Let's start with 64 and see what that looks like. And then we're going to set the background color to container, primary, and then we're gonna have to modify all of the interior. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start dragging outside the canvas, and you see it selects my footer. Then when I hold Shift and Command, now it's only selecting the textiles inside, which is exactly what I want to do. I can see that primary, of course, is my category color, so I need to set that to container on primary. So it's going to give me that white contrast. And then I'm going to do the same with container on secondary. That gives me the styles that I'm looking for. Now, I want to kind of set that to, say, 80. All right, that looks about right. And then what we can do is we can take the height here and we can change it. So I'm going to snap it there. Great. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to go into local variables, and we're going to set out, create a variable. We're going to set a number, and we're going to have that number be dynamic. And this is going to set sort of our breakpoints for our, we're going to add another mode. So the mode is going to be desktop for primary, and then we're going to have mobile. And desktop is going to be 1440, which is the width. Mobile is going to be 375, okay. And this number we're going to call device width. Cool. And then we're going to add some more. So we're going to add Boolean. We're going to say show on desktop, and then desktop is going to be true, on mobile it's going to be false, and this is going to be a Boolean value that's going to enable or disable visibility so that we can show and hide layers dynamically. And so that's all we need. Let's just rename this, and let's call this breakpoints. Okay, do this. All right, that's looking pretty good. Exit out of that, and now what can we do with that? Well, we have this device width, and we have this kind of like hex icon here, which is rather new. And then what we can do is we can go to local variables, and we can set this to device width. So it's 1440, the same as it was before. All right, nothing's changed. That's fine. Now when we go here and we go to this layer, we can set the breakpoints to mobile. Uh-oh. What's happened there? So it's actually modified our width to the 375 that we set. All right, so let's change this one. We're going to set this one to desktop. So that's pretty cool. Now we have a lot of work to do to make this fully responsive, as we can see. So what can we do here? Well, we could set this to be fill. So what we need to do is start building this into blocks. So let me just move this away for right now. We can focus on our desktop. So we're going to build this into blocks. We're going to take them full screen. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at, do we need left-right border, which we do 120. And the other thing we're going to do, we're going to add one more variable here. And we're going to call it a number. Global gutter. And for desktop, we're going to set that to 120. And for mobile, we're going to set that to 20. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into these blocks, and instead of having just a fixed gutter width, we're going to set it to global. And this, instead of hug, we're going to set both these to fill. And then we're going to set them to center. There we go. And we're going to make sure that the rest of our, for instance, these, we need to probably set these to something different. Let's see here. For the sake of simplicity. these items. Okay, let's see what happens here. Throwing this out. Oh, another thing we're going to do is we're going to show and hide a hamburger menu. So this is going to be interesting. Menu. And get this hamburger menu icon and throw that in. We're also going to make it larger. Oh, so 12, 24. Great. Throw a team around it. We'll set it to round shape 999. We'll set fill. So we'll set that to 0. And then we'll set this to 20 each side. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to select this hamburger. I'm going to right click the layer, right click the visibility icon, and I'm going to set local variables, show on mobile. And this, I'm going to say, click, show on desktop. So now, drag this over, set this to mobile. I also need to make some other changes as well. So this. Applying. Let's see, equal to gutter. Okay. Let's see if we get the better result now. Oh, okay. This is getting interesting. Still a lot of changes that we need to make, but we're starting to see progress. So this, that's some string. Left and right, global gutter. Center that. Set it to base width. Instead of fix, let's do fill. Okay. Let's do the same here. This was set 80. Make this a little taller. I'm going to select all these. I'm going to do auto layout, keep everything, fill. Okay. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go down, center everything, move this to the top, do 80 here. Eventually we'll probably make that a variable too. That's looking pretty good. Here, let's do 60. Top and bottom. This is going to be set to fill. These will be set to fill as well. Center. Yeah, that's looking good. This is all looking good. And then, let's see how this is going to respond. Now, the widths on these will be fixed. Apply that device width variable. Let's get the variable. Do the same here. Update this to better. And then we're going to take all these. We're going to auto layout it, and we're going to set the height, hug, and the width. So hug as well, that might work. That's fine. And then the gap is going to be 0. Alright. And here, snap. Alright, let's see what happens and what breaks. Switches to mobile. Okay. Here's where things are starting to get interesting. So, in this case, I want them to wrap, and we want to set a minimum. What's that? Set, see on the width. Yeah, add minimum. Let's see. Let's do a minimum width. We're going to do 375. You can do math in these fields. So I'm going to do minus 40, which is basically 20 twice, and that will give us what we're looking for there. If I copy this and paste to replace, oh, we'll see magically we've got our stacking column. So that's exactly what we want to see. Here, we'll probably want this to be fill, continue, and then we can make this dynamic. Oof, okay, hold on. That is fill. That is fill, and then because this component is trying to be really smart, it's causing issues. So let me do this instead. Try that in. That looks so much better. Rid of that. I'll take the playhead. Mess with it. Alright, let's set this again to 32. And set this to this should be set to hug. There we go. This needs to be a little higher. $580. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, let's get rid of this. Switch this to mobile now. Okay, things are looking a little better. Now we can set up some other variables here too. So we can go in here. We can say. We can call this video height. That's not what we want. You can also duplicate these variables, which sometimes is helpful. So I'll say, okay, and then we'll say 580 on desktop. And we'll say 280 on mobile. Cool. And then we're going to set one other thing, which is similar here. Oh, okay. Duplicate. And we're going to call this vertical vertical block margin. We're going to set it on desktop to 80, and we're going to set it on mobile to like 32 or something like that. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, and for all of these blocks, we're going to go and modify from 80 to vertical block margin, and then there should be some global gutter. Great. And then last but not least, we're going to do this fixed to variable pure over height. Right, let's see what happens when we take this now. Ooh, okay. Now obviously it's going to need to be much longer unless we start building out carousels, which is another option too. This is not what we want. Oh, we're going to set this to wrap, and then we're going to set the minimum on these. So we'll say width has a minimum, and that is, I forgot what it was, I think it's 331, but it's 375 minus 40. Oh, that's off. Okay. And then let's just drop one of these for fun. Okay. So right now it's set to fill. But it has a minimum. Alright, that looks good. Another thing is we might want to actually bring this down a little bit. It's large. Yeah. And then this, we can't adjust typography yet, but I'm sure that's coming. And that will be extremely helpful, actually, when building out responsive websites, because we'll be able to dynamically change typography, especially for the headings. And that's going to be extremely helpful. We've got a little glitch here, so we'll have to fix that. But overall, okay, we need some vertical padding here too. So whenever you set something to wrap in auto layout, we have the horizontal and the vertical. What's going on here is we don't quite have enough of a gap there, so it's looking a little funky. I think what we want to do is we could apply vertical block margin. Yeah, and I think that would work okay. We also might want to update that variable because I think 32 is not quite doing it, so let's try 40. Oh, and we can see what it looks like here. Might be a little too much. That's about right. Okay, cool. And then let's fix this other button bug that we have here. So we can just set these instead of fixed. Something interesting. Okay, I think we might need another variable here. So as you can see, you might want to start breaking this out into a product-specific file, or you might even want to create groups between something like margin, for instance, and you know, visibility. You might break these so that you can kind of take this and you can say new group selection, and then you can name them. So you could name these you know, visibility or something like that, and that would make sense. And then maybe you could group these two and call them spacing or something like that. And then you could grab these and you could say device width and height or something. Oh, that didn't that didn't do what we want. Hold on, let me try that in. Okay. So you're constantly learning things, and I think the other thing that we want to do is Divided width and height, we want to create a new one, and we're going to duplicate this. We're going to call it button width. Button fixed width. Yeah, we'll call it that. And then we'll set this to like something significant for desktop. And let me see what these are here. If I set, and this is fixed, this should actually be fill. Okay, and then what we can do here is we can set these to fill as well. And so we'll see, what we probably want to do is wrap these and then set a minimum. Yeah, so in this case, we actually probably don't need this now that I'm experimenting with this. Okay, so let's do a couple things. One, we need to fix this and set it to fill so that it's taking the maximum width of our container. Then let's set this to something interesting like 320. Can even try to make it kind of hit our grid, which might be interesting. And it might be hard to do exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. And then what we'll do is we'll also set a minimum. This is going to start to be a little bit tough, actually, right here. Let's set a minimum, and we'll call it 335, I think. And then that's going to break, so that's going to become larger. But then I think that will solve our button issue. The only thing is the vertical padding between them. We might need to continue to adjust. What happened here? Fixed. Okay. Oh, we didn't change this. Okay, that makes sense. Let's just grab this block and paste it in. Paste to replace. Okay, that's looking better. Isn't it crazy we can do this in Figma? This is not too bad, to be honest. I think once we have typography that we can dial in, it's going to be really incredible. And we'll see that we're getting our hamburger menu here, and then we're getting our desktop nav items over here. So I mean, we're pretty close, you guys. I mean, we could go through and just manually make some changes here to just kind of clean this up a bit. The thing that really jumps out definitely is the typography changes. But I mean, with not a crazy amount of effort, I think we could make something that's quite interesting, to be honest. Let's set this like 32, and then let's just grab this piece too. Okay, let's paste this in. Now the other thing we would want to do is probably set a minimum on these as well. So we could say we're going to make this wrap, and then we're going to probably, yeah. This is interesting. We have to put a container around each of these items, and then set them to fill. Okay. And let's see what else. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we're going to want to set a minimum for these. And that minimum, we want to be 375 divided by 2 minus 20, so it's half. And then I think we'll have something interesting. Let's see what this does here. Yeah, 2 columns. Now we have a crazy distance between them, which is not working at all. We should probably just set this to, I don't know, maybe we could try 20, 24. Let's see what happens there. So I'm going to copy. And I'm just pasting to replace this, not the whole block, but the sub layout. Okay, as you can see, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's getting there. 32. It's 32. Right. as you can see, I mean, you have all the tools to kind of play with that you can use to build a really compelling, responsive website. And when it's done correctly, it's pretty amazing that you can switch back and forth between desktop and mobile inside Figma using variables. So I hope this has been helpful. Take these tools, obviously modify them. You're going to learn things. You're going to find out features that I didn't even see, like I had never messed with Boolean before. So knowing that you have to actually click this and then right click on this was a bit of a new discovery for me. So being able to like go in here, right click on this and then find these options. I was looking up here and just like not seeing them. So that's one thing that I learned during this whole stream. So take care, everybody. Happy designing, and go build amazing responsive designs. Take care.